The offseason is obviously a hotbed for rumors, and we've got a couple of them that are very interesting to definitely go through today. What's up, everybody? It's JJ Buckets. I've told you what we're doing today, so just obviously before I fully hop into things, make sure you're leaving a like on the video. It helps the algorithm out a ton. You should know that by now because I say it every video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Plus, if you plan on doing any responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out my link in the description below. So let's talk about Pascal Siakam first. Now there's a couple here that I'm going to talk about and one I'm going to focus on a little bit more. The first one is just that Pascal's name has been heating up as a trade target around the league according to Michael Grange, which is understandable, and I'll get to why in a second. And then the bigger one that I'm going to focus a little bit more on is the fact that Pascal Siakam in particular has been continually a target for Atlanta. They are trying to get a deal done there, but obviously nothing is formulated yet. So I would understand why Pascal's name would be coming up as a trade target league-wide right now. I think as soon as Fred VanVleet was out the door here in Toronto, a lot of teams came chomping at the bit, seeing if they could pry Pascal away, which I would understand why. I mean, hey, look, we all know how talented Pascal is, and I think a lot of teams out there are looking for a really good running mate for their star players, and you could do a whole lot worse than Pascal. But, you know, how many teams I think are going to come with the right assets to get Pascal is a question that's up for debate, especially considering that the other factor here is Pascal is, or we had the reports earlier that he would not commit to a team long term if they traded for him because, you know, he sees Toronto as his home and stuff like that. So in those regards, you know, if you're a team that's trading for Pascal, you're going to need to put up considerable assets. Are you going to put up considerable assets if you don't really even have a guarantee that he's going to stick around? You can see the conundrum there, right? And in particular, if we're talking about the Hawks here, right? They've come calling again and again, like this isn't the first time we've seen reports that the Hawks have been trying to get Siakam away, but I mean, hey, look, respectfully, they don't really have enough at the table to come knocking for Pascal, especially like these deals are focused around DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte Murray is going to be a pending unrestricted free agent in after 2023, 2024. So I mean, like, how great really is that? And in terms of obviously picks and stuff like that, they actually gave up a bunch of picks and pick swaps to go get DeJounte, so they don't have the best draft capital to offer Toronto in terms of just prospects and just guys that, you know, you could see maybe Toronto eyeing. I really don't know if a considerable worthwhile package exists from the Hawks. And if you disagree, you can let me know. Drop it in the comments section if you think there's a package that the Hawks can put together for Pascal. Personally speaking though, I really just do not see how that Hawks and Raptors trade formulates. So if Pascal's getting traded anywhere this offseason, I would hope it's not going to be Atlanta. There's another one here from the fallout of Fred VanVleet's decision to leave that's interesting to say the least. When Fred obviously signed with the Rockets, the Blazers reportedly contacted the Raptors offering Simons and picks for OG Anunoby. Now, this one's interesting here because, first of all, I imagine this decision was made before the Damian Lillard trade request, so maybe Portland was still in a position where they were debating potentially, you know, putting a competitive team out there for this season and putting a team out there that, you know, was gonna try to at least do something. You can tell by my lack of enthusiasm in terms of, respectfully, what I believe of the Portland Trail Blazers and where their ceiling was with the group that they had. I don't really think they were a championship contender in a best case scenario, even like with the addition of OG. Portland is so mid, bro. But yeah, like I imagine this decision took place when they still thought that, you know, maybe they were rolling into the season with Dame. Now, you know, I don't really know if I could see this one formulating, respectfully. But it's interesting to me, though, in terms of what Masai Ujiri probably deems OG Anunoby's value, right? If he's turning down Simons and picks, because that's not a bad package at all. Like, Simons is still young enough, he's under contract. He has a little bit of upside from where he is now. Obviously, he's not a great defender. We've all talked about that like plenty, I find. But, you know, in spite of that, he's still a very talented player in other regards. Plus, you're getting draft capital in theory from a team that's probably going to suck to some extent. That's not a bad deal, but it's not one that Masai wanted to make, which is, again, it's interesting because we know OG Anunoby's contract decision is going to be coming up in the very near future. That's going to be a next offseason problem, right? So, I don't know. I would assume like Masai really does see OG as a part of the long-term plans here because, you know, seemingly whatever teams throw at him in terms of an OG Anunoby package, there has been a great reluctance to move him. And I can understand, again, like his value as a defender is tremendous. You could argue he still has some offensive upside, more than he does now. And potentially we'll get a chance to see that if he does get the expanded role he's been asking for this season, right? So I get why he views OG in a very positive light and a very high regard. Again, like for me personally, I think I've said this before on the channel, but like OG, as far as the current Raptors goes, he's probably my personal favorite current Raptor, but that's a little besides the point. Yeah, like I would imagine, you know, seeing this kind of stuff and seeing the, you know, these reports in terms of the trades being turned down, I think there's a very good chance, and obviously this is still a long ways away, but I really do think OG Anunoby is going to be here for the long-term future, to at least some capacity, because again, like, you've seen some good offers. You've seen some really good offers thrown at OG between, you know, the trade deadline and some of the reports that we've seen during the offseason, to which none of them have worked. So I would imagine the longer this process goes on, the closer we get to, you know, news of an OG Anunoby contract extension. Obviously, maybe not this offseason, but I do think that is something that is more likely than not at this point. And obviously, a lot of things can change in the span of a season, which again, like this decision is going to have to be made next offseason at the latest. So things can change, and obviously take anything with a pinch of salt to an extent, but it does. If I was a betting man, I would imagine OG Anunoby has a contract extension in Toronto. Yeah, that pretty much does it for me. What do you folks think of these recent reports? Drop all your thoughts in the comment section below. Besides for that, usual drill, just make sure you're leaving a like on the video. It takes a second, and for me, it makes the biggest difference, so thank you. Subscribe if you're new here. And yeah, that's pretty much been me. It's been JJ Buckets. It's been a pleasure, and I will see everybody next time.